thousand that the NASDAQ opened down more than 3%. It finished up more than 3%. So it was one of the biggest reversal days in quite some time. Very, very important when you get those days. Very important when you get those days to stack it. You know what I mean? Meaning if your average day is $1,000, you got to make 3,000 or 4,000 on those kind of days. Your average day is $5,000. You got to make 20. You only get so many of those big range days. And then what often happens, right? Like today, we may get a fucking inside day or like, a little bit more of a chop day because you're right back into resistance here and, not a huge resistance, but you're like right back inside the range. We could like just fart around today. There's a shot that we may have just a little bit of an inside day, but I think as long as the market doesn't just get fucking shit on, then even an inside day or like a flat day in the market, there'll be a lot of individual stocks that start to really kind of cook and book because you have still a lot of oversold names. So, normally we've been fading everything for quite some time, especially every gap, but due to the nature of the reversal yesterday and how many stocks exploded. And then of course, we had a news event and things like that and an exhaustion gap yesterday. I'm leaning towards playing, some level of continuation off yesterday's heat. There's bounces and then there's like bounces, right? So when you get like these kind of like full blown moves, right? These big monster cock candles, that's not just a bounce, right? That's, potentially a reversal for a handful of days. And so you have to respect that. Now, I would have preferred we had a light open today. And that way we would have been able to kind of red to green some of these things, but whatever. It's not a huge, big gap. If we had gapped 1 or 2%, I would have been like, fuck, like, well, we might as well go sit around for the day. But I think we're going to be able to have some fun here. We're going to be able to have some good old fashioned God-fearing Christian fun today. Hey, Mr. Jones, what's going on? Mr. Jim, what's going on? All right, cool. Let's take a look here. See if we got any good earnings plays. And then from there, let's see if we got any good, let's see what we've got some oversold names and things like that are cooking around. Hey, so like this car's got earnings out. These kind of specialty retail stocks suck the trade though. I take a pass. The Russia 2X ETF, we can't really buy this shit for patriotic reasons, right? We've all watched Rocky IV. We know what happens. In the end, we know what happens. We're not messing around. So we can't be trading that thing. Farfetch. This is an earnings play, man. It's gapping up 32%. So the problem with I love earnings plays, and something like this, if it pulls back and kind of grinds along, you can play these. The thing is, there's 3 shitty things to trade in this world: banks, retail, and oil stocks. Like the 3 worst things in the history of the world to trade: banks, retail, oil stock. And sadly, those are the ones that often run. But for intraday trading, they're just god awful. It's like something like this, okay, it's giving up like 32%. If it was like a tech stock, right, we'd let it pull back to the 9 EMA. We'd do a little dipsy-do dunkaroo. But look, on a retail stock, pass. We'll come back to that. PGRE, REITs suck the trade too. Who are we kidding? CYRN. Hey, so this was, I believe, a reverse split play. And, now you got all this kind of heat. This is like when you already got enough range in the markets, we have all this range in the Qs. You got large caps moving around 20 points. You had some really good range yesterday. Is this something, you really need to waste your time playing? This is not good old-fashioned God-fearing Christian fun right here. I'll tell you that. This is in a hot market. I mean, frankly, I like dickering and dealing with these things, but I just don't think we need it. There's enough stress in the world. Do we really want to be playing this thing? Pass. Headhunter Group. This thing was, I don't know what to do with that either. Okay, so SQ, this is gapping up on earnings, adjusted earnings, higher revenue, blah, blah, blah. This is probably something, man, a 20% gap up in these market conditions is rough, but if we get a pull on this or some type of ORB pattern, this we've got room to, and you got probably, you don't even got any resistance up here. It's a little bit of a thicker stock, but what makes me think of this, these kind of dead tech stocks, like when they want to go and they kind of bust loose on earnings, right? Like UPST a couple days ago, even though it gapped up so much, like it still had the juice, like it had another 20 points range after the gap up. I think we may get in that kind of scenario today with the SQ where you got something that's been just so shit on, and now you're busting loose on earnings. So you got a fundamental catalyst, and you got a really like a chart that's got some room to go, right? You're not going to run into resistance till 132. The key on this one is going to be, it's going to need a little bit of a pull, let it shake and bake a little bit, and then we'll see what's going on. This is not, even no matter like how good the market was yesterday, you still don't want to be chasing. You chase, you die. Like that's just the nature of the game. You chase, you die. You chase anything, it's always tricky. YNDX, I believe this is like the Russian Google or whatever. We can't long this shit, right? For patriotic reasons only, we probably only got to short that. Etsy. Etsy quarter four. Similar look to SQ. 16% gap, but you got a nice base there. You're coming off lows. This thing used to be $400. This is 6 windows worthy. SQ. Dude, let's add that. That's nice. I mean, we can get into this. The one thing with Etsy you got to always be mindful of is that motherfucker's got a spread on it, so you got to watch your size on it. Now, the spread was a lot wilder when it was like $300. When you're coming in at like 140, 150, the spread will be a little bit less. But I would still anticipate at the open, because the liquidity is going to be light on this, I would anticipate at the open that the spread is going to be 40, 50 cents at the open, because the liquidity will be light. So like say you want to add 1,000 shares of this, you'll have to probably scale in like 200 at a time if you get the setup. If you don't see that, then let it go. The problem with stocks with big spread is if you're not trading well and you're a chaser, then you end up getting fucked because you got that chasing gene in you, right? You got that chasing gene in you, and then all of a sudden you see it like kind of testing the top of the range. You market order it, you get filled like 30, 40 cents above, the bid. And next thing you know, like you're already down $400 before you even got in the trade. And now you're sitting there thinking like, damn, I'm down $400. Shit. So then you panic and you market order the sell. You end up selling it on the bid. And now you lose another $400. Before you know it, the damn stock hasn't even moved. You're down $800, wondering what's wrong with you, whether you should even be a trader anymore, because you're just living a life of stupidity. You're the president, the vice president of the Chaser Club. And like you go home and your kids like look at you and you're like, Dad's a dirty chaser, right? And your wife's looking at you like chaser. And your daughter's looking at you like, because of you, Dad, one day I'm going to grow up and go after a man who's a chaser because I got daddy issues. And then now your whole family is fucked because you're chasing and you trade a stock with a big spread. Your life is over. Your daughter's working at the strip club, going after other stock chasers, probably some small cap guru who chases all the time. You just don't want to be doing that. I know this because I have been the president and vice president of Chasers R Us, and I don't want that for you guys. I want better for you guys. So keep away from the chasing on big spread stocks. If you're going to chase something like on intraday break, do it on like something like AMD that's got no spread on it. Does that make sense? Good. We don't want to be those guys. Okay, jump. think about your children, right? Think about your children. If you don't have any, your future children, of course. Dun, 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 dun. All right, Mara. Hey, some of these Bitcoin stocks, by the way, these things have been demolished. Bitcoin is also the thing with the cryptos right now is they're just following the U.S. tech market. So if the tech market bounces, you'll see Bitcoin, Ethereum. You saw a pretty big move in Ethereum right now. I'm eyeballing a couple coins here. We'll bring out some charts in a hot second. I got a couple coins I'm watching, I think, that are near some support. But, I think something like this coin, you got double bottom on this. You may get a little upside on this if the market goes. But this one is also, like, I personally don't have this on my list, but a bunch of people have asked me about it. This one's got a spread and it's a little bit illiquid. There's so much range going on, like if you think about, the last 2 days, like from top to bottom, like this thing was 208, runs to almost 240, 30 points range. The previous day, right, it was 240, closed at 220, so 20 points range. So you got 20 points, 40 points range. Do you really need to mess around with coin and the lack of liquidity when you have so much range and all these other stocks anyways? I don't think so, but who knows? All right, let's see on the downside if we got anything. Foot Locker. Man, Foot Locker was an epic store back in the day. Hey, this is actually the type of stock that can actually follow through. So if you see here, you got like a triple tap breakdown over here. Foot Locker. It's down a lot, and it's a retail store. But this type of stock can fade quite a bit just due to the location of where it is on the daily chart. When you actually break down these kind of levels, like you'll have a chance to actually follow through. I would add this for potential ORB Z-scaler. The Z-scaler. Yo, this might be close to the top of the list on the short side. You got a level here. If you're going off the hourly chart, you got a level right at, 220, 225-ish zone. And these things are never like exact spots, right? So it's more of like a zone of love. And we're right in that zone of love here where, you could come in here. You could shred on this, guys. We can't chase this thing down about 13%. Hopefully it just marinates a little bit right before, right? It marinates a little bit right before the breakdown. This is going to have a monster spread on it too. You can probably only do like 100 shares of this thing, 200 shares. You don't want to go. It's going to have, if it busts loose, it'll rip down like 10, 15 points anyway. So you don't need a lot of size. This one can get you caught too. If this one was doing about 1 million shares a day, 1 million shares already, I would say this is probably the best setup we have, in the last few days. But because of the lack of liquidity, it's on the list. But I don't know if it's six windows worthy. All right, BYD, downgrade. This is earnings too. And you've got a level here from yesterday's lows. You know what? This is not bad. Like this will have a little bit of a spread, but since it's cheaper, it won't be too crazy. And it's got about 200,000 pre-market volume. This has a chance. The key on this one is going to be, okay, you've got an ORB to the downside. You need it to do it around this 43 mark. All right. So like if you start to kind of marinate right around this 43 and you build out a little bit of a base and you take it out, that should give us the continuation we need. This is not bad. I would add this. I'd add this to the list too. Let's add that to the list. Foot Locker. Then we got ZS, Etsy. Man, this is Etsy. Man, Etsy's going to be nice too. So we got Etsy. There's a lot of earnings plays. Etsy, SQ, Foot Locker, good. Let's see. Foot Locker's probably not like a huge priority because it's a retail stock. Etsy, SQ, ZS, if the liquidity comes in. Now let's talk about some day two plays. Let's talk about some day two plays. This OSTK had a really nice range yesterday, and you're opening up like a little bit under yesterday's highs. If the market can, bust loose, this is probably something that could go fairly quickly. And frankly, because it's Friday, the original Sabbath, I wouldn't mind making a quick workout of this day anyways. 1 hour, and we gotta go. Right? We got 1 hour, we gotta go. I think we're gonna get some really good range the first hour, and then it's gonna probably, you get some Friday chop. TTD's got a level here at 84. This has got a good 83, 84. It doesn't really matter. It's more of a zone of love, right? They're never exact spots. They're, it don't matter how you draw it, right? It's all near the same stuff. This could go right off the open too. So OSTK, TTD, both of those could bust loose off the open. I think TTD 6 windows worthy also. Then, we've got our usual suspects. I think you still got I think you got some upside in some of these names. This OSTK, I mean, this was the day of days to hit this 30-point range. You probably still, it was just 160 a couple days ago off earnings. I think that one's still going to have a chance. And right, the Roblox was really going nutty. So you got some of these Roblox affirmed, they all okay. But I think these are weird locations because they're opening up right under the 9, where see UPST, TTD, these got good locations. This is going to be, this could, if the market's going to cook, then, we could just, ripstick this thing if it breaks, say 83 or something like that, same type of deal. On OSTK, set an alert at 84. Those will give us some good spots. We still are in a bear market. So yesterday was a reversal, but it doesn't mean you get 2 days of those monster kind of trends. There's a shot that we get a lot of action in the first 30, 40 minutes, maybe an hour, and then we just kind of come back down on it. So just be mindful of those things, don't get, and when you see those big range days, don't think, oh shit, I missed this epic opportunity. This market's been giving opportunities every single day. This has probably been the cleanest few months of trading that we've seen in the last few years. Yes, the trend has been down, but it's been clean. There's been very little shakeouts. If you remember September, October, man, you're getting wicks and shakeouts and all those small caps. The market's starting to enter distribution. It was a little bit trickier to trade. This has been very linear the last few months. So don't worry, don't get too much FOMO, but you do got to press. You do got to press and make your gains because this is very unique market and it's giving us a lot of range. You don't get this kind of range in easy bull markets. So just be mindful of those things. Let's go do what we do, which is the doo-doo. It's Friday. Let's make 2 hours of work out of this and go. All right? All right, cool. If I could turn back time, if I could find a way. All right, let's have some fun. Let's build out our 6 windows layouts. Let's start mapping out what we're going to hit first, guys. When you get a little pull in the market, flat open so far, don't worry about any of these pre-market gains. Some things will kind of dust off at the open and all this stuff. That's normal. Where I want. Oh, man. Let's do this. All right. Rock and roll.